Hey guys, what's up? It's coming back to ya with another episode. Car rides with and I was really hoping to be extra early today, and instead of being extra early, we're slightly late. So I guess that's fine, but I mean that's not really that was not the original goal or intention. As I just said it. The original intention was to be extra early, and that has now been reduced to slightly late. I don't think we're gonna be badly late, but we're just not, like I said, I wanted to be extra early, but as it turns out, we're gonna end up being slightly late. So, it is what it is. I don't really know what else to mention, really. Anyways. Yeah, I mean, I don't really know, like, honestly, this weekend, it felt much worse than the 2 days off in the middle of the week. Those, as I had mentioned, were very nice, very refreshing. This weekend was not. It really was not that refreshing. And I think that just says a lot about, I don't know. Like, it's like the weekend's always there. It was the 2 days, and I really thought it was going to feel good, but unfortunately, I have a day off this week as well. But it's like, I don't know. You know what I mean? I just don't know. Like, I really need like another double. That's really what I'm like craving for. But yeah, this is, I mean, again, like I said, my expectation from extra early to now moderately late, not what I wanted. But I was going to make some comment like, well, you don't really always get what you want, but I'm going to be honest, in the grand scheme of things, I probably do get more of what I want than average, besides the things that are like extremely abstract or out there, because I obviously conceive of a lot. I conceive of so much more than I think most people do. So when I say like I get a lot of what I want, yeah, I mean, I think I get a lot of what I want, but it's never these like grand sweeping things. It's almost like my mind, it's really aspiring to and desiring things that are very high. They're very high up. They're not things or thoughts that are particularly accessible. If that makes any sense. Like, it's like things like you can't just go out and buy. In terms of things I want that I can afford, I'm pretty much already there. Like, because a lot of the stuff I want, it's not crazy. It's not like crazy vacations or anything like that. It's not crazy food. It's just things you can buy. And some of them are pretty expensive, but in general, I mean, I feel like the things I want are like my dream things. It's not too high. And then I have a decent executive function around money. I don't know, decent may be short selling myself a little bit, but you know, my ability to get stuff on eBay and save like a good amount of money, it's not something that most people engage in, not to mention other various things I do to maximize my money. So yeah, there's a lot. There's just a lot. So, and then the most important thing is that living with parents, not needing to pay rent, the easiest, like largest factor why I'm really able to do anything, because if I had to pay rent, it just wouldn't happen. So, but I think it's reasonable, because I think it's reasonable is like people, a lot of these older people, like they sell me this idea that, oh well, and I've told you this before, I've heard it from my father, I've heard it from other relatives who are older, like, oh well, yeah, I mean, you might struggle for a little bit, but then you'll get a better paying job eventually, and then, you know, everything. But I always have to like dispute and refute that. Like, nobody just gets a better paying job. Like, a lot of people don't. And even if you're capable of it, or you're the best candidate for the job, that really, it has a minimal bearing on whether you're actually going to get the job or not. So I feel like some people just have too much of a rosy mentality about something that is just not, like, it's not. It's very much not that rosy of a thing. I don't really know how else to describe it. But yeah, I mean, you know, for all intents and purposes, I really cannot cast much of a complaint on my life. I mean, I know I say that my life's perfect, it's just I don't make enough money. And that's true if we're talking about like an independent way, but I mean, if we're talking about my present life is good, and I think it's something I have to start to think about, because even when I was a teenager, being so worried about money, the scarcity of not working until I was 21, I don't know, like, there was also upsides to that. There was a lot of chill times that, like, weren't chill because I couldn't stop thinking about money. You know what I mean? So, like, I'm trying to that's really what I think I have to focus more on. Because, see, most people have the opposite problem. That's something I was remembering and thinking about this morning. I mean, people can get distracted in the blink of an eye, even if it's something really important. And that's actually, like, healthy. It's very, like, comforting. And I wish I could get distracted, but honestly, I barely do. I mean, if something does actually grip my attention and distract me, it's for a fairly short period of time before I'm back in my just, like, brain. And so, it's like, I don't know. And the thing is I obviously have, like, a high bandwidth for things, because I basically never need downtime. Although you could argue, well, you're always talking about being stressed out, but so maybe if you did have downtime, that would be better. I know that, but I'm saying in general in my life, like, the amount of things I've put up with, and I haven't needed space, and I haven't, you know, bailed on the other person, like, it is a testament to the bandwidth differential with me and other people. It is a testament to that. But a lot of it is automatic. I mean, a lot of things are not trained, I don't think, or they're trained, but they're not they're not trained intentionally. I think that's the key word I'm looking for. So for whatever reason, the way I live my life in conjunction with my neurological genetics, there's just a person who is fairly unrelentless in exiting the present and future and the past moments. It's some kind of like time perceptive ADHD, if that makes any sense. And I've talked about it before as something else I was thinking about recently. You know, some of us don't get help. Some of us are just on hard mode having to navigate this for myself. I've never seen a professional. Now, I'm certain that I would get some kind of a diagnosis. I doubt I'd be neurotypical, but I don't have a diagnosis. And you know, I think I know a lot of people who'd be the same way. I think there is a large percent of underdiagnosed and undiagnosed people, because there's just been, I honestly think like a lot of the stuff I talk about on this show, it's so true and it's so hard hitting. Like even GPT just goes like, oh, well, you know, you can't be that crazy. But it's like, I really do feel that way. And I guess I don't want to escalate it to a delusional sense when I start to think I'm like right about everything, because I know I'm not. And that's not really what I'm trying to do. But I'm just trying to push back like aggressively and firmly. Because a lot of times when I talk about the forced brain chips being as a need, not necessarily a want, but a need to circumvent what is coming, you know, other people hate it, other people don't like it, they hate it, and GPT starts firing off the sirens as well, and it really firmly disapproves of it. But I wonder if humans, and then as a result the way GPT is programmed, does not understand the resource allocation problems that are pending. Like, there are very, very serious problems coming to head. There are very serious problems. Lots of countries are in a lot of debt, especially America, which does house like a lot of people in excessive amounts of debt. We're on the brink, and basically each day that goes by, the birth rate crisis continues to get worse. And I guess you could have high immigration to try to offset that, but you know, some countries tried that, like Canada tried it, and then it wasn't really working, the high immigration. So I don't know that it's a single fix-all approach to the slipping birth rates, but I don't even know how much immigration America is going to get with its current immigration policy. And that's not to make a statement as to, you know, what it should or shouldn't be. I'm just saying, I mean, if we're not reproducing more and we're cutting back on immigration, that's going to have consequences. But, you know, it's, like I said, I don't have to, I see both sides to things, but I'm just not going to comment on, like, I don't know, there's the humanitarian issue, but then I'm sure there's somebody out there who likes what's going on, but I don't think it's most Americans. But anyways, I don't even remember what I was talking about now. Just see, I have to watch what I say so much, because I know people are sensitive. That's part of the problem. I was telling a friend about the situation, that argument I had with that guy, and they were like, man, you could have had a friend. Why did you bring up the brain chip thing? Why did you bring up the forced brain chip? You could have had a friend. And I got kind of upset, because I'm telling them, like, look, that's the whole problem. Like, you think it would be easy for me to make friends, but I would not want a friend like that. If somebody talks about forced brain implants, I wouldn't want a friend who can't handle that and who starts calling me mentally handicapped and the R slur. Like, that's not a good person. It's not a valuable, it wouldn't be a valuable friend. It's a friend, it's a friendship founded on a facade. It's not a true friend that is actually going to be satisfactory to myself. I do want to note, it is kind of interesting. I had this dream where I was back in my Mini Cooper and I was driving to some vacation spot kind of near where I work, which that doesn't make any sense either. But then when I reemerged, I was like, we were wandering around and we were in a very different area. So it was like really weird. And also, for some reason, I was driving my old Mini Cooper and I forgot the car key. Like, which also doesn't really make sense because I obviously started the car, and that's impossible that would have happened, but that's just what happened in the dream, is I didn't have my car key. So, like, while I was driving, I just, like, noticed the car key was missing and I wasn't having throttle. I was wondering what was wrong, and it was that the car key was missing. Like, the RPM was really low or something. And for some reason, I had a key that had that, like, emergency key inside of it, like my new car key. And somehow it was like the Mini's key, so it had like an emergency key in it, and that worked. But that obviously didn't make a lot of sense. Like, I don't know. There was a lot of extra details about this dream. There was somebody who stole a bunch of stuff, and it was in the street. This was dream actually before the one I'm describing now, and I don't remember what the product was, but I don't think it was anything that special. It could have been like their car was literally stuffed to the brim with bags of bubble gum. I think it was something like that. And I wish I could remember what it was, but it was something like that. I mean, I want to say it could have been bags of bubble gum. It could have been like bags of coffee beans, like giant bags of this stuff. And his car was like stuffed to the brim with it. His car was stuffed to like the brim with these bags. And there was like, the police stopped him, and the police stopped him, and then the bags, the contents were all in the street, just the bags. I don't think they were burst open, and some people were grabbing them, and then eventually, like, people came charging, like they came like running at the situation. Like, people from, I guess from a distance, were like, somehow got wind of what happened, and then, you know. People got wind of it, and then these, like, this stampede of people just came through, and the police couldn't even stop them or nothing. And one thing I know, what probably had an influence on that is, I mean, this was kind of earlier in the day, like this was in the afternoon, so kind of interesting that it still had that kind of an influence. But I had watched this episode of Futurama where Bender stuffs a bunch of robot oil and other things from the mall in his sweatshirt, and then they like all come tumbling out, and he gets caught And I feel like that ended up influencing the dream, even though that was all the way in the afternoon. So I feel like it's interesting how much, I guess, your entire day is like, it really is a reference point for dreams. You know, I've heard that while you're sleeping, your brain cycles everything. I've heard it, but, I obviously didn't know. Like, it's weird that I think something from a show I watch in the afternoon from a show I watched in the afternoon actually made its way all the way into my dream. But it's interesting. I don't know. But I have a feeling that's why that happened. Sorry, I was just thinking about like a lot of stuff. But yeah, I think rewinding back to more of what I wanted to be talking about. Yeah, I mean, I think that's like a big problem with people is like, and I'm not even like overly sensitive. Like, I do think there are circumstances where if somebody is being stupid, they should be like told that they're stupid. I don't think it should be extremely often necessarily, but like it can be kind of a rude situation a lot of the time, honestly. It can be kind of rude. So I don't know. I'm just saying I'm not like sensitive about it. Like, I don't want to act like, oh, like somebody calling a person stupid in an argument, it's always unwarranted. I think it depends. But the problem is it usually doesn't pan out just due to human nature. Like, even if somebody deserves to be called stupid, it's not going to aid you in the argument, usually. Like, it almost never does. Unless you can emotionally get to the person, maybe. Like, if you already had... Yeah, like, I don't know. But no, what I mean to say is, like, I think some people, if they do genuinely have, like, a clearly bad idea, they probably should feel bad about it and be called stupid for it. Probably. Because, like, that is important. There's a lot of people who live in a fantasy and just have a bunch of ideas that make absolutely no sense. And then that's a big problem. Like, I don't know that you necessarily need to give someone a white glove treatment and give them a bunch of good etiquette, if that's the standard we're going with. I don't know. It's just like, I think it's important for society to actually have much more accountability when it comes to these types of topics. But that's the whole problem, is what do you do when the person who's really ignorant and wrong is calling me R slurs, calling me mentally handicapped? And let me preface too, stupid is different than calling someone the R slur or mentally handicapped. Okay, like I'm saying, calling a person ignorant or stupid. I think that is the best word because it's also the most accurate, and I feel like it's the least mean, because if somebody's ignorant, I know a person's going to take it in a mean way, but I do feel like it should be one of the more politically correct ways to describe a person, but it's like, it's true. I mean, and that's the problem, is I don't know what was going through his head. Like, he was acting really defensive, but what if he was actually flustered? Like, you never know. You never know, is somebody arrogant, or is he... Because, I mean, I literally said, like, he would be saying stuff to me, and then when I said he was circling, like, one time, because I thought he was, like, just repeating the same thing, like, he picked that out immediately, and he slapped back. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was not... Even though, like, that wasn't even something he really needed to respond to, and of course he didn't take any time to actually think, oh, well, am I circling? He just kicked it back. Now, when he would say stuff to me, I would try to think about it. I would put it into GPT. I would say, well, is this what he said when he accused me of strawmanning? And GPT explained how it was, and then, like, I learned from that. You know what I mean? I don't think I was strawmanning, like, aggressively. Not as much as he was like, because what's crazy is, I kind of feel like, based on how GPT explained it, that guy was probably strawmanning me the whole time. Like, the whole conversation, that guy was strawmanning me. You know what I'm saying? And then, like, one paragraph, I strawmanned him in, like, a mild way, and then it was a problem. You know what I mean? Like, I just think that's crazy. It's just like, I mean, yeah, it wasn't perfect what I did, but at least I'm trying to be self-aware of it, and I'm willing to, like, put stuff in an AI, hear what it has to say, try to have things cleared up and be objective. Whereas that guy, I guess he may have already been at his mental capacity, just engaging with the conversation, just talking to me. I mean, he even admitted he wasn't going to read all I had to say because I'm so stupid, so it must not be anything good. I mean, that comes off tough, but it could also be that he was overstimulated. Like, there's two different possibilities, you know? Because a lot of people, like, they wouldn't admit that. They wouldn't say, oh, like, I'm sorry I was wrong about that. I'm sorry, I'm just overwhelmed right now. Nobody's, like, ever vulnerable these days. Like, when I talk to anybody, I don't think I ever see vulnerability. I feel like I'm always the person that has to be vulnerable, because people as a whole, like, they're so fragile and they're so unwilling to, like, engage in that kind of way, and just, I don't know, and it seems like worse, but I mean, it's probably always been like that to some extent for humanity, but I don't know, it just seems like very, yeah, I just don't know. You know what I mean? It's weird. I think it's really weird. But yeah, it makes sense. I mean, probably for a long time, humans were not good at being vulnerable. Like, I think it makes a lot of sense, because especially pre-civilization, that's just down to survival right there. Like, you know, if you're vulnerable in the wild, that is not an advantage at all. Whereas, like, being vulnerable now That's the type of personality we need to actually move forward. And that's why I think one of the best things about the forced brain chip is a forced vulnerability. That's kind of what I want to see from it. When I'm having a conversation with a person, getting that information, okay, what was their actual intention? How are they actually feeling about it? Because it's happened to me a lot of times before. I've been in arguments with people, and then a little bit after the fact, I ask them, like, what was going through their head, why they said what they said, what was the reason, and usually they just don't remember. You know? Whereas, like, I'll remember my side of it and why I said everything. So there's a conscientiousness difference with that, you know? But I think it's one of the biggest benefits of the forced brain chip. But again, there's a lot of bad that can be done with that too. I mean, bullies could bully even harder, you know, so it would have to be fairly restricted to be properly utilized. But I just think hypothetically, because the thing is, like, I know probably what you're thinking is it's just going to cause a lot more problems, but that isn't necessarily true because you're seeing both people. And so, and not only that, you would also know what you think better. You would understand how you think better. And so you can see, like, well, you know, yeah, this other person's being mean to me, but then you're gonna see, like, you're also being mean to them. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because everybody's skeleton's gonna be out of their closet. I guess the problem is it's gonna lead to clear and easy comparison. Which I'm just thinking about the advantageous side to that, but there's obviously truth that some of that is not really good. Because you can also have comparisons being made where, yeah, like, we'll kind of know that this person's right and this person's wrong, and we'll know that and we'll know who's better. You know what I'm saying? I think that's just going to really be scary for people to process. Like, right now, we do vaguely know who's better or worse when it comes to people. I mean, some people judge people based on their outfit, but it's all very simple. You don't just, like, walk by a person and know everything about them and have, like, a clear idea of whether you or them is the better or worse human and why. I mean, you don't know that. I mean, most people just judge based on, like, how attractive a person is or how good they look, how well they dress. You know, these like vague little these vague little things, and it's vain and it's dirty that the world's that shallow. But then at the same time, there's kind of a safety in that, or there is kind of like a security in that. There honestly just, like, is. There's some kind of a comfort in the judgments only being as shallow as they are. I think there kind of is for everybody. There is just this comfort, like, you know, it's not that serious. It's not that big of a deal. Like, okay, that person probably has a better life, but I can't really see it, you know? Like a scorecard for everybody. You know, everybody has, like, stats where it would show, you know, charisma, conscientiousness, gratitude, empathy, and I'm just realizing this now, how stressful that could become, especially for most people who would see themselves like near the bottom of the scores and not really being able to do anything about it, likely, because for most people it's like kind of beyond their capacity. So it's almost like some limitation just staring you down for your whole life. And I think even though I am 100% correct that like this is a better and more advanced tool, it definitely has the potential for like better outcomes if it was used properly. You have to think about how the people engaging with it are going to interpret it. Like, because it's not about, if we were some infinite species that had like a really high brain power and mental bandwidth, then it's possible that these tools could be used in a very productive way. But the truth is, like, I think a lot of people blindly get by on their shallow egos. I mean, sure, they're shallow, terrible, vain people, but their heavily inflated ego is how they actually continue to, like, I don't know, just live and function. I think a lot of people, if they had to face the reality that they're not that special and that there's a lot of people better than them, I think it just, people don't like it. They don't want to have to live in that kind of a world. I think people, because that's the thing I realize, and it's why people don't like statistics, because statistics are a glimpse into what the forced brain implant society where everybody's data is public would look like. And that's why nobody likes looking at it. Because everybody just kind of wants to think that they're good, and they probably see themselves as better than they actually are, and they don't really have the humility to be at peace with that. Now, in my case, it's something I've thought about, and I am at peace with it. You know, if I'm part of the bottom 80% that's going to get wiped, then, I mean, that's life. I don't know, like, that's okay. Because that was like another thing talked with someone about over the weekend. It's like thinking about, because that is inevitable, you know, they're either going to have to beef up welfare substantially, or there's going to be mass carnage, there's going to be mass homelessness and mass pain. And since I see the government gutting the welfare, I don't see how there's going to be the mass welfare to take care of people. But you know what? Because the thing I was thinking is the 90% or whatever, you at least give them shelter, you at least give them food, some nice screens to have fun with, you know, and you at least do that. So that they can have an alright life. Because it's at least something at that point. Like, you're not just, even though a lot of people probably just simply won't be useful in like a robotic future, I think the nicest way to send that off is to at least give people a place to stay and a place to go in the meantime. Not to just be like, oh, well, let's cut a lot of these jobs out. Nobody's needed anymore. I don't know what this person's doing. Sorry, it's just very stressful. They're like they just have their hazards on and they're driving really slow, but they were kind of swerving off into they were like in between lanes, so I couldn't even get around them. And it's not like I'm trying to pass them that much, but I'm trying to pass them to just get out. I don't want to be near that thing. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, now will be time to buy Schla soon. But yeah, sorry, time to end the episode soon. But what I'm talking about is that has to be the most peaceful way. And what I realized is that might already be in effect. I actually think that that's the whole push with technology and why tech keeps getting cheaper. Because what technology essentially is it's like a comfortable mass exterminator. And I actually think that the elites may have purposely concocted that. I think, honestly, within 10 or 20 years, phones are going to be so cheap to the point where, like, an ultra-budget phone is going to be pretty efficient, so you're not going to need frequent battery charging or anything like that. So even in, like, really undeveloped areas, you might be able to get a phone working. And once we're at that point where it's like, let's say, like, what if we eventually get to a point where a phone can just operate off of solar power and there's cell phone infrastructure on every living corner of the earth? That's a way you can actually peacefully and ethically exterminate humans, because it will be seemingly of their own accord, even though we know that it's really not. But it will be seemingly of their own accord. Wait, what is going on? Are they actually going to be putting me through this now? Like, I think the good days are over. I really do think the good days are over. Wow. Life is going to get much more annoying now. Yeah, that's just like really... Wow. Wow, they're really being annoying. I'm really not happy about that. Wow. Making my life harder. Alright, I'm kind of angry. I'm just gonna wrap it up. It's been Schla now. It's time to buy Schla. So, see you, Schla.